So we are live and welcome to my show, everyone. Late night show with Alavi. Um, so today, uh, our guest, uh, Zach, is coming. Zack Arnold. He is the editor of Netflix show called Cobra Kai, which is very popular show, and also he does podcast, amazing podcast with. It's called, I guess, Optimize Me, and yeah. So let's talk to him tonight. I know our time is a little bit, uh, you know. Um, let's see what's gonna happen today. So we are waiting for him, our guest, Zach Arnold. Um, so he'll be joining soon. If anyone is live, if anyone is watching the video right now, you can ask. You can ask whatever you want to ask. If you're an aspiring editor, video editor, you can ask your questions on the comment section. Um, I will ask him. So yeah, people who are watching it right now, you can ask whatever you can in the comment section. And today our guest is Zach Arnold. He is the editor of uh, Netflix series Cobra Kai, which is a very popular show. Uh, so yeah, if you have any question for him, you can ask him through the comment section. You can leave a comment below in the comment section. So please feel free to ask whatever you want to ask. Let me tell you about the sessions. What I'm doing is for aspiring writers, directors, editors, and other artists like actors or editors, animators. So for them, if you want to learn from them, like most of the session, live session, they charge huge chunk of money, but we are doing the podcast only for you people, the aspiring writers, directors, and aspiring other artists around the world, so that you can learn from them, learn from their journeys, their stories, um, or you can directly interact with them. So that's the purpose of my live sessions. So yeah, you can ask whatever you want to ask uh, to the comment section. I'll mention the comments. I will ask him directly your questions, your queries. So yeah, he'll be joining soon. He's almost here. Few minutes left. Uh, he'll be joining very soon. Again, I'm repeating. Our today's guest is Zack Arnold. He is the editor of Netflix show, very popular show, Cobra Kai, and also he does live podcasts. And they're very interesting, and they're very you know uh, helpful. They're very helpful for aspiring all the artists around the world. And again, my purpose is the same, to make you learn, to make you um, you know um, to make you understand how the industry works actually, how Hollywood system works, or the global platform works. Global platform means like Netflix is a global OTT platform. So how it works. So we will ask Mr. Zack Arnold how it works actually. So yeah, let's see how it's gonna uh, you know how it's gonna go. Okay, he'll be joining. If you have any question, if you have any query, you can ask. uh, you can ask through the comment section. You can leave your comment on the comment box. um, just one more minute. Let me share the link. Okay, you'll be joining. So let's start the session. Okay, now this is the time. Okay, our guest is here. Hello.
Hello there. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good. Excited to be here.
Yeah, thank you for joining. It's really an honor, you know. So first of all, let me start with a question: that how did you start your journey as an editor?
So just journey as an editor, nothing related to Cobra Kai, just the journey way
Yeah, yeah,
back in the day.
yeah.
Got it. Sure. So this journey actually began when I was about 9 years old. And it all started, and for any of you, if your audience is younger, they may not have even heard the term camcorder. But back when we were shooting movies with VHS camcorders, the big giant thing that you put on your shoulder.
Yeah.
My older brother had bought his first VHS camcorder, and he came home and walked in the door and said, "Let's make a movie." I'm like, "Ooh, that sounds like fun." So we grabbed our little Nintendo guns and we chased each other around the house all weekend and shot a bunch of footage. And at the end of the weekend, he showed me everything that we had shot. And my response was, "So this kind of sucks. That wasn't a whole lot of fun, and I'm tired, and it was hot, and all we have is this to show for it." Really wasn't excited about it. However, about 2 weeks later, he came back and he showed me something new. And what he showed me was all of our footage cut together, and he scored it with the music from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And to this day, I don't know if I've ever been more excited or enthralled by anything than seeing that. I just looked at it in awe. My jaw dropped and I said, "Oh my God, how did you do that?" And he explained how to connect two VHS players, hit play on one, hit record on the other. And I've essentially been editing ever since. So my editing career started at 9 and have been doing it for, I hate to date myself, but it's now been well over 30 years that I've been doing that.
Okay. That's really interesting. I mean, then how the Netflix show Cobra Kai came to you?
Yeah. So, well, the show Cobra Kai did not come to me. I came to it. So throughout my career, I have worked on a whole bunch of different types of shows, projects, mediums, and formats. I've done trailers. I've done featurettes, documentary work. I worked in features for a long time. And I have been in TV specifically for about a decade. And I was in the process of thinking of moving out of television into doing other things. But in 2018, I don't even remember why, but I just happened to be on YouTube. And because YouTube has a very smart algorithm and it can read our minds, right there in the sidebar was the trailer for this brand new show that had just released that week called Cobra Kai. And my first reaction was, how dare they? Who's going to remake The Karate Kid? That is one of my favorite films growing up as a child. That was my Star Wars. Don't you dare touch my movies from my childhood. So I decided I was just going to watch the trailer and, just crap all over it. So I watched the trailer and my response was, this doesn't look awful. All right, fine. I'm just going to watch the first episode, but I'm going to hate watch it because I'm sure it's terrible. So I sat down, watched the first pilot episode for 30 minutes. And like it has for many, many other people, the next 5 hours of my life was predetermined because I watched the whole thing, cleared off my calendar. And at the end of watching season 1, I said, I have to edit this show. Whatever it takes. Oh, yes, I will edit the show. So I started to do some research, went on IMDb and just looking on the internet to see who the people were that were involved. And I didn't know anybody on it, hadn't worked with anybody except one person that I found buried in the credits that had not even worked on the whole season, but had just been a part of the tail end of it. This is somebody that I'd worked with for 4 weeks, probably 3 years before. So I didn't have a deep relationship, but knew this person well enough that I had their email address. So I reached out to them and just basically told them how much I loved the show and how excited I was that it was out there. But instead of like asking for a job or sending a resume, what I did instead is I watched the entire show again for a second time. And I wrote an extensive blog article all about why I think it's such an important show beyond just a review saying it was great. It's like, here are the important themes that I think that this show represents and why the show needs to get out there. And I just passed along that article. And she passed along the article that I had written to the 3 show creators, to John Hurwitz and Josh Heald and Hayden Schlossberg. And they enjoyed the article. And as a side note, one of the things that I wrote in the article ended up actually getting used in season 3 of the show, which I'm very proud of. But at the end of the day, they said, we might be looking for an editor for season 2. Do you want to meet with us? So I went in there and met with them and essentially talked myself into editing the show right there in the room, got the job. And I've been with them for the last 4 seasons, all the way through the end of season 5.
Yeah. I mean, the new season is coming, I guess.
A new season is coming. I don't know when this is going to come out, but September 9th, set your calendar. Season 5 is going to hit like a ton of bricks.
Yeah. So did you edit the finale episodes?
Yes, so I haven't edited all the finale episodes. I wasn't involved with season 1 at all. In season 2, I co-edited the finale episode, the one with the fight in the school. And then seasons 3, 4, and 5, all seasons that I edited the season finale and the season premiere.
Yeah. So I want to ask that, I mean, what expector an editor should have, to get hired? I mean, that what should they have?
Yeah, so it's the answer to that question is going to be very complicated depending on the kind of work that you want to do. Saying
Yeah.
what skills or what expectations should an editor have, the answer is
Yeah.
very different if you want to edit trailers, if you want to edit music videos, if you want to edit commercials, if you want to edit TV, if you want to edit features, if you want to do comedy, if you want to do drama. There's going to be a
Yeah.
whole lot of different expectations for each of them. But if we're going to
Yeah.
boil it down to the bare essentials, the first and most important is you need to understand how to tell a story. Because whether or not you're cutting a 5-second clip with 3 pictures on Instagram, or you're doing a
Yeah.
30-second video on YouTube, or you're doing a 4-hour documentary, you have to understand story and story structure. Because
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
editors do for a living is we create emotions. And you have to understand how to create an emotion in either a very short or very extended period of time. So
Yeah.
yes, you need to know Final Cut Pro or Premiere or Avid or whatever the 150,000 apps are that you can edit with your phone. Yeah, you need to know the bare bones basics hard skills. You need to be able to take shots, put them together, and edit in sound effects and music. And all those are just kind of basic understandings. You need to know the tools, but ultimately
Yeah.
you have to understand how to create emotions and how to tell a story. Once you
Yeah.
know how to do that, the next thing you need to focus on is how do I collaborate and communicate with other creatives? Because
Yeah.
and there are going to be some editors that they do everything. They're a jack of
Yeah.
all trades. They wrote their project, they shot their project, they edited their project, they mixed it, they color it, they put it on the web. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
If you want to edit at a professional level, you're going to have to work with other people, and they're going to be giving you notes, and they're going to have thoughts, and they're going to have ideas. So one of
Yeah.
the misconceptions is that as the editor, it's me sharing my vision. It's not. It's your job to help somebody else realize their vision. So you have to
Yeah.
be very good at collaboration, communication, and most importantly, compromise. Because what you think is the best version might not be the best version, especially younger editors. And I was just as guilty of this as anybody else. You think
Yeah.
that I saw all the footage. I'm the only one that's seen it. Nobody knows this better than me. That's not
Yeah. Yeah.
necessarily true. So you have to be willing to entertain other people's ideas. So it's really a combination of storytelling ability, the ability to create emotion, and most importantly, I think being able to collaborate and communicate with others, because movies, television, the vast majority of content out there is a shared vision. It's not one person's singular vision. You even take
Yeah.
somebody like Tarantino or Christopher Nolan, for example, like the
Yeah.
auteurs of our time. That's not just their vision. They had a vision, and they had directors of photography and costume designers and editors and composers that all brought in their ideas
Yeah. Yeah.
with one unified voice that decides yes or no. But ultimately, it's a shared vision, and you have to be good at sharing that vision and collaborating.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I was asking that there. I mean, the industry. I mean, I really want to know how industry actually works, because I've seen your podcast videos, which
Mhm.
is really interesting. So I love them. So I really want to know how actually industry works.
Yeah. So the way that the industry works, that's a very challenging question to answer, because if you were to ask 10 people the answer to this question, you're going to
Yeah.
get 10 very, very different answers.
Yeah. Yeah.
But essentially, the way that this industry works is no different than the way that any other industry works. And that is that it's built upon relationships. So
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
somebody that knows nobody in the industry, the immediate reaction is, well, then I guess I can't be in because I don't know anybody, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
all about who you know. I don't know people. I'm not one of the lucky ones that has a network. So that means I can't be in the industry. And I completely and totally disagree with that, because
Yeah.
I grew up in northern Wisconsin, as far away as possible from Hollywood and the entertainment industry. I literally knew 0 people. I had no connections, but I just
Yeah.
started to slowly get to know the right people over the course of time and build my network. So it's just a
Yeah.
matter of I need to identify the right people that are doing right now what I want to be doing next, and I need to get to
Yeah.
know them, provide them value, and seek some guidance in return. So does that mean that if you don't know anybody, your first email is to Steven Spielberg? Probably not. If you want to
Yeah.
get into the industry as an entry-level assistant editor at a commercial house, you should
Yeah.
become best friends with entry-level editors or assistant editors at commercial houses,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah.
everybody's always trying to shoot for the stars, and there's nothing wrong with that. I've reached out to some really big names, and I think right out of college, I reached out to Walter Murch, right? I'm like, why not? Ended up connecting with Walter Murch. But at the end of the day, Walter's not the person that's going to get me in the door. It's the person that's doing now what I want to be doing next. So if you understand that the industry, or frankly any industry, but very much in Hollywood, it's all built upon relationships, rather than thinking there's nothing I can do about it, well, then you need to develop the skill of building relationships, no different than the skill of learning Premiere, no different than the skill of editing music. Building relationships is what gets you into the industry.
Exactly. Yeah, totally. Same goes for me, because, I grew up in a very rural area, and I had no connection. I had no connection on the industry, and I belong to the Indian film industry. But from India to, I didn't go to Hollywood, and I had no connection to Hollywood. But still, I'm talking to you right now. So that's how you can build a connection.
Exactly. You know the right people, and the right people know you. That's the important part, right? So the right people know you. So when they have an opportunity that's mutually beneficial for both of you, you contact each other. Right. So it's all about understanding where can I present opportunities for others and provide value, as opposed to who are all the people that can get me what I want. You need to make it mutually beneficial. I'm going to provide you value. I might need something in return. I'm not going to keep score. But at some point, this might be a mutually beneficial relationship. But I'm going to start by just giving you value and making your life a little bit better. If you hear of an opportunity, well, then great. Then I might hear about it as well.
Yeah. Right now, I really want to know, like you're editing a fight sequence, fight sequence. So how do you edit this? Do you have any any different approach?
Yeah. So the approach to editing a fight scene, frankly, is, at least from a storytelling perspective, is almost no different than editing two people sitting at a table talking to each other, right? It's all about, again, it's about telling a cohesive story. The difference is that you have a monumentally different amount of footage to work with. So an example that I've talked about before is that at the end of season 4, I can't give any spoilers for season 5, but at the end of season 4 of Cobra Kai, we had these 2 giant fight sequences for the All Valley Tournament finals, right? We have Hawk versus Robbie. We have Sam versus Tori. The amount of footage for just those 2 fights, which I don't remember how much screen time it was maybe 4 or 5 minutes apiece. But the amount of footage was just hours and hours and hours, and so many cameras and so many setups and different angles. But ultimately, it's all about what is the story. Because if let's say that I said to myself, I want to show the audience how good I am at cutting fight sequences. So I'm just going to cut all this fancy stuff with all these edits and flutter cuts and oh, that's amazing. Nobody cares because there's no emotional story, right? So it's my job to, first of all, watch all the footage, which takes days and days and days for a big fight sequence like that. So I might spend 20 hours just sitting and watching raw takes over and over and over and over again. But it's my job to figure out where are the emotional moments that I pull out of this, so that people are emotionally connected with the character. So it's one thing to say, ooh, there's an awesome punch, or there's a cool tornado kick, right? But I'm looking for the moments on their faces where we are rooting for them and we are emotionally sucked into this fight. Because if you're not rooting for the characters, it does not matter how cool the sequence is or the way that it's edited, you don't care. So I'm still telling a story. I just have to do it in a really cool, engaging way. But it's really no different than emotionally engaging 2 characters sitting at a table talking.
Okay. So, who is your favorite editor on the industry?
My favorite editor in the industry? Ooh, that's a good one. I've got a few. I would say that if I were to break it down to my top 3, 2 of them are actually friends and mentors. The third is not yet, but he's on my list. Alan Bell would be my first one. Alan Bell, he edited the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of the Hunger Games series. He recently came out with one called Where the Crawdads Sing. He did The Amazing Spider-Man. And actually, of all the big, huge movies he's worked on, my favorite of his is actually called Little Manhattan. If nobody's ever heard of Little Manhattan, it is the most enjoyable 90 minutes you will ever have in your life. So he would be one. Another would be Dodie Dorn. Dodie Dorn, I actually discovered because she was the editor, Oscar-nominated editor of Memento. And when I saw Memento in the theater, I said, that's what I'm doing for a living. Is that. So I reached out to her. She was the very first person I ever reached out to after I graduated college and came to LA. And now she and I have been friends, and she's been my mentor for almost 20 years now. But I'm a huge fan of the work that she does. She now works a lot with Zack Snyder, but she's worked with Christopher Nolan quite a bit. And then the other editor that I admire that I don't know, at least have a relationship with yet, is Lee Smith. So if I could crawl across broken glass to have any job I want, past or present, and I had a time machine, I wish I could have cut Inception. Inception is
Okay.
just, it's a master
Inception.
class
Yeah,
on
yeah,
how to edit and tell a complex story with multiple, it's just, Inception is a masterpiece. So
yeah.
those would probably be my top three.
I mean, do you have any like wish list? Any director like you want to work with them?
To be honest, I don't really have a wish list of the only director that, yeah, in a perfect world, I think it'd be pretty cool to work for Christopher Nolan.
Okay.
Outside of that, it's more actually like showrunners and creators of TV series that like I would love to work with Vince Gilligan. That would be amazing.
Okay.
Just to learn his process and know what his vision is to be able to so consistently make such great shows. Like, it's one thing to make Breaking Bad and it's amazing, but it's another
Yeah.
thing to replicate that with a spin-off with Better Call Saul. Like, that's
Better
not
Call
an
Saul.
accident anymore, right? Like,
Yeah,
Breaking
yeah.
Bad, great story. Maybe he was a one-hit wonder. I mean,
Amazing.
he
Yeah,
came from X-Files, but X-Files wasn't his show per se. He was a major part of it. But
yeah,
to have done what he did so consistently between two shows, now it's like, I don't care if he's going to make a show about somebody reading a phone book. I'll watch it. I just like his vision and the way he thinks about how to visually tell a story is just on a whole another level. So
yeah, yeah. So what would be your tips to the aspiring editors or anybody who wants to get into the industry?
yeah, so I have three foundational tips that I like to give everybody, and then I have kind of a bonus fourth one that nobody ever expects. The first one is that you want to be very, very clear about the ladder that you want to climb. The
Yeah,
mistake that a lot of aspiring editors, and frankly aspiring anything, but when people are young in their career, they always say, I will do anything. I don't
yeah,
care what it is, I'll do anything. And I understand the intention of that. It's coming from a very good place because they want to be helpful and just learn. The
yeah,
problem is
yeah,
the people that want to hire you don't know what to do with you. So you want to be specific about what you want to do next. It doesn't mean you have to choose, I'm going to do this thing for the next 40 years of my life. But you can
yeah,
say, for the next 6 months, I'm going to be a post-production assistant for comedies. That's
yeah,
what I'm going to go after. And if I can get it, great. And if I can't, maybe I'll try something else.
yeah,
So be
yeah,
specific about the ladder you want to climb. Secondly, you have to become awesome at your craft. This one's kind of obvious. This is where most people spend
yeah,
most of
yeah.
their time, right? They're learning
Exactly.
the tools and they're watching the movies or whatever it is. So this one is kind of an obvious one. I usually don't have to harp on this. There
Yeah,
are
yeah,
countless businesses and websites that help you improve the craft of editing. So that one I kind of leave alone. It's number
yeah,
one and number three where I really focus most of my time. First one, clarifying the path that you want to walk, become awesome at your craft. The third one, this is where everybody stumbles. People need to know you're awesome at your craft. What
yeah,
happens with creative introverts is we get
yeah,
so in our heads that we learn the tools and the craft and we sit around and we're like, so when are people going to discover me? When's that going to happen? It
yeah,
doesn't.
yeah,
So like I had said earlier, you essentially need to make networking and relationship building a fundamental skill that you add to your tool set. So
yeah,
be very clear about the ladder you want to climb, become awesome at your craft, make sure the
yeah,
right people know that you are awesome at your craft. The
yeah,
fourth that I will add that's not really wrapped up in any of that, but it's kind of a bonus thing that most people wouldn't expect, is that you have
yeah,
to become very good at setting boundaries, because this industry will very, very quickly do everything it can to exploit your expertise and exploit your time. And if
yeah,
you don't learn how to set boundaries and advocate for yourself, then other people will set those boundaries for you. And it
yeah,
doesn't take long before you realize that that is just an endless road towards burnout.
yeah,
So
yeah.
learn to set boundaries and proper expectations.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it also happens that people think that my work, like I'm editing something, and this
Mm-hmm.
work is absolutely fine. I mean, amazing. I feel that that work is fine, but people don't really like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
what would be your advice to them?
So you're talking about if the advice for if you're just kind of working on your own stuff.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
My best advice is that because this is such a collaborative medium, you
yeah,
always want to get other people's feedback, right?
yeah. Exactly.
Storytelling, it's very hard to be a great storyteller living in a vacuum of one person, right? So
Yeah,
if you're an author and you just want to write a story, great.
yeah,
But even if you're an author and you write a story, you should be handing it to every single family member and friend that's willing to give
yeah,
you feedback, because you need that outside perspective. It's the same thing if you're editing, even if it's not your own material, even if you didn't shoot it, somebody else directed it, whatever it might be, as long as you're not doing it behind people's backs, show other people your work. I
Yeah,
used to be the type of editor that I just did my own thing. And I literally, for most of college, I just locked myself in a room and learned the craft. And it was just me. It wasn't until I started working with other people and sharing a wall with them that I really learned the craft of editing, because I would
yeah,
see them working on something and I'd be like, wait, I didn't, that's a thing you can do that. How did you do that? Show me in the timeline, show me the bin. Or they would look at my work and they would say, hey, that's really cool what you did. Have you tried this instead? Never even occurred to me. So
yeah,
the
yeah,
most growth is going to come when you bring other people into the process.
yeah, yeah. So the next thing I want to ask that, has it ever happened that you were editing something? Most of us really face that kind of thing, that the software crashed
Mm-hmm.
while editing. So how I mean, has it ever happened to you?
Oh, yes. As a matter of fact, just last week, not with editing per se, but I spent a week putting together a presentation teaching editors all about networking. So I was really wrapped up in all
Okay.
this. It was like 150 keynote slides. I presented the entire presentation to over 200 editors, and it didn't
Oh,
save. I lost a week of work and it's gone. It's just gone. And I have to start over and I have to rebuild the whole thing because I have to do the same presentation next weekend. Right. So whether it's an
yeah,
Avid or Premiere crashing or whatever it is, first of all, have your autosave set up so you can prevent this.
yeah,
Right. And Keynote has autosave, and it just, for some reason, there was some bug or glitch and it never saved any version of my thing. So in general, I should have lost 7 to 15 minutes worth of work. Right. So when it comes to editing, I have so many backstops as far as autosaves and things being saved on whether it's Dropbox or wherever it might be, to prevent that. But if it does happen, ask
yeah,
yourself, what can I do to control this? Is there
yeah,
anything that I can do to control this? Most likely there isn't. So you can either
yeah,
get really, really angry and expend a ton of wasted energy for no reason, or you can say, well, that happened. So what's next? Right? Like,
so
I guess I just got to do it over.
that's how you deal.
That's how, like, what essentially I spent 30 minutes. And it's so funny you asked this because I just went through this. Last week, I'm going through, I'm like, all right, so let me check the autosave out. Nope. Let me go online. So I got the terminal commands to dig into like the deep root folders to find if there's an
Yeah,
autosave. Nothing. Let's check Dropbox, reached out to my team. Does anybody have like some saved version or like a file vault in Google Drive, anything? Right. As
yeah,
soon as I knew that it was gone, my response was, all right, guess I'm doing it again, because I
yeah,
don't have enough energy to waste on being angry about it. I don't have enough hours in the day to waste being angry. So I said, all right, so that means I'm going to need to spend an entire extra day next week to rebuild this. It's now
yeah,
just an expectation that I have reset. The expectation was this is done. Now the expectation is I have to do it again. I have prioritized the time accordingly, and it is what it is. So I just don't have the energy to waste on it.
okay. So did you watch any Indian film?
I haven't watched many Indian films. I've seen a few, but it's definitely not an area where I can say I have any level of expertise.
Okay,
I'm sure,
okay.
like
So
everybody, the answer is always, well, yeah, I've seen Slumdog Billionaire, right?
yeah,
So, but that's
that's
probably not the
yeah,
best
yeah,
answer.
exactly. Yeah, So I mean, next time, yeah, have you ever visited
I
India?
would love to. It's probably on the top 5 places on the planet that I would love to visit. I have several Indian friends and absolutely love Indian culture, and would love to go visit it, but I haven't been to that part of the world yet. So I've
Yeah,
only been
yeah,
to Far East Asia, but India is on the top 5 list of things I would love to see in my lifetime.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, the thing I love the most, that is Hollywood is actually, yeah, I mean, they actually like, and they're making it so diverse. Like
Hmm.
you see the cultures are growing in Hollywood,
Yeah,
all the cultures.
and it's about time, right? I
Yeah,
would say
yeah,
that
yeah,
they're several decades, if not a century behind. But it's
yeah,
just the way that the world moves. But yeah, I'm seeing a lot of change and a lot more diversity. Not only what you're seeing in front of the camera and the stories being told, but a lot behind the camera.
yeah,
So I run a coaching and mentorship program, and I have a multitude of Indian students in the program. Some of them from other parts of the world. Some of them are from India and have
yeah,
come and
yeah,
work in Los Angeles now.
yeah,
And they, amongst all the other, whether it's females, people of color, whatever it is, they're all saying that they're finally starting to get those opportunities that they haven't been able to get in the
yeah,
past,
yeah,
which I'm all for. I'm loving that.
yeah, yeah. Sure. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining, and
Yeah, of
I
course. You're
really
more than welcome.
I
So,
really like this, and I really enjoy your podcast sessions. I really enjoy them.
well, it's great. I love that. I'm going to ask you a question in return. What's your favorite conversation?
Mine.
Yes. It's your favorite conversation from my podcast. You said that you would listen. So I'm curious of the guests that you listen to.
I actually, recently I came across, one session that was about the connection, making the network.
Sure.
I just saw, I think it was about, 2 days or 3 days ago,
Mm-hmm.
I guess. So I came across that thing. I
Nice.
really enjoy. That's why I asked you that question. That how do you? How do you make the connection? How do you
Right.
network with other people, the culture?
Yeah. Well, there would be no Cobra Kai, and most of the things on my resume would not exist if I had not developed the skill of networking and
Yeah,
relationship building.
yeah,
So it
yeah,
doesn't matter how good I can cut or tell a story. If nobody knows, what's the point?
yeah, exactly. So thank you very
Yeah,
much. Thank you. And if you have any
absolutely.
question, you can ask me whatever you want. Uh,
Well, yeah, I would actually love to know, why
okay.
do a podcast with me? What are your goals? What is the reason that you're having this interview?
Actually, this is my goal, that all the aspiring writers, directors, and filmmakers or editors around the world, but they are actually, I want them to learn from the masters like you,
Mm-hmm.
who are actually on the top of the game, who are actually working in the industry and they know about the industry really.
Mm-hmm.
So I want them to learn about you guys. Want them to learn about their stories. I want them to inspire through them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's my goal actually.
I love that. So let me ask you this now. Why
Yeah,
is it important to you that you share all of this with your community?
actually, it's really important because I feel like I've grown up in a very, not so urban area.
Mm-hmm.
I even in my area we don't have even a film theater, a cinema hall.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that there are more people like me or other people who are actually interested in filmmaking or editing or whatever they want to pursue. So I really I really feel I can feel them, that
Mm-hmm.
they really need to learn from the some of them are watching tutorials on YouTube or anything, they're watching anything, any article they're reading. But the thing is, I really want them to learn from the masters who
Mm.
are actually working on the industry right now, not just the big, not just the people who are actually just like saying big things and not doing enough. So I really want them to learn from the masters who are working in the industry right now.
Right. Well, good for you. I admire you for doing that. That's great.
Yeah, so previously we did a lot of live session, like the Marvel Studios producer of Moon Knight,
Mm-hmm.
Peter Cameron, and the director of this Black Beauty is called Ashley Avis, and the Narnia music composer,
Mm-hmm.
Harry Gregson Williams, a lot of people. So I really want them to learn from the masters like you.
Oh, that's
So
great. Well, I love it. I have a hard time calling myself a master because I feel like I have a whole lot more to learn, but I still appreciate it.
yeah, actually. That's how I can call you a master, because masters are always like learning. They
Mm-hmm.
keep learning from everything. That's why they're masters, because
Yeah.
they don't really think that I've learned everything.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Yeah,
the more you learn something, you'll hear this from countless people, that the
yeah,
more you learn something, the more you realize how little you actually know.
yeah.
Right. So you
Exactly.
think when you just get started, you think you know everything, but then as you really start
Yeah,
to learn, you're like, I don't know anything. Right. So
yeah,
the more proficiency you get, the more you
yeah,
realize I have so much more to learn.
yeah. Just like Steve Jobs said, stay hungry, stay foolish. Yeah,
Uh-huh. Exactly. And I'm definitely both. No question.
yeah. Actually, so thank you so much, thank you so much for joining, and this is really an honor.
Yeah, you're more than
So
welcome. I am
yeah,
more than welcome and happy to help you guys out.
yeah,
So
sure. And whenever you were visiting India, let me know, we'll meet.
I will definitely put you on my list because right now I know
Yeah.
exactly 0 people. So I might need to
Sure,
start building that network.
yeah, definitely, sure, yeah.
So
Thank
all
you so
right,
much, thank you so
great.
much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you so much. You take care.
yeah,
Best of luck. Okay,
yeah.
bye
Best
bye.
of luck. Bye bye.